Howdy my totally always tubular gamers, and we're back with another video, and it's not a ranking video. We actually have another review. Crazy, I know. And today we're talking about Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, the modern re-release on PS4, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Now, Ghost Trick originally came out in 2011 for the DS. It was developed and published by Capcom, and it had the same director as the Phoenix Wright games, and it really became a cult classic pretty fast, and a lot of people regard it as one of the best games for the DS. And so when they announced they were bringing it to modern consoles, modern hardware, all that, it was pretty cool. And I'm just gonna give a big shout out to Capcom. They sent me a review code for this game, major shout out, and I really appreciate it. I was looking forward to finally trying this game, and after finally playing all the way through it now, I can tell you, yeah, this game is pretty great and it's a classic for a reason. So what is Ghost Trick? Well, Ghost Trick really centers around this ghost of the recently deceased protagonist, Sissel. And he doesn't remember anything, so it's about his struggle to try to figure out who he was and how he died in the world around him. And he has to perform various, as the game calls, ghost tricks to solve puzzles and navigate the land of the living in his spectral form. Now that is all I'm going to say for the story, because this game is incredibly story-driven, narrative-heavy. It's all about the narrative, really. It's all about its characters, its world, getting immersed into all of it. It's really all about that. That is the focus of this game, and it's a good thing that it's as good as it is. It is great. I really found myself intrigued right off the bat. Like, the game is interesting immediately, and its characters are interesting immediately. A lot of them are really eccentric and different and just kind of out there and kooky, and I was all for it. I really liked it. I like the writing in this game. The dialogue is actually really well done, and the way the characters interact with each other, it's really interesting. The story and its characters really get high marks for me just because of how different and, again, just interesting this game was. I really enjoyed the plot of this game. Something else that I really enjoyed in this game was the presentation. Now, the original game, if you look at what the original game looks like now, it looks pretty crusty. It was a DS game. This game looks leagues above the original game, and it looks awesome. I love the art style to this game. It looks really different from just about any game released nowadays, and it has a lot of charm and care and personality put into it. Like, it just looks great. It has an amazing aesthetic, and then the music, I can say the same thing. The music is just fantastic in this game. Everything to do with the presentation is just swell. But what is the gameplay of this game? I could say that it's an adventure game and a puzzle game. That's really what it is. A lot of this game is like a visual novel, though. A lot of the game is listening to characters and barely interacting, just hearing what they have to say. Well, reading what they have to say and learning more about the situation, the world, characters, all of that stuff. A lot of the game really is reading. So if you're not interested in, a visual novel-esque game, then this might not be the game for you. But the actual gameplay, when you're not listening to someone, see Sissel interacting with a bunch of worldly objects to try to save someone's life. You can be in the land of the living where time moves normally, it's normal real life, or you can be in the land of the dead where everything actually pauses. And in this world, Sissel can travel from object to object within a certain radius. He can't transfer to anything living, though, and a lot of the time, you'll be interacting with these objects in the environment at large to, again, try to save someone's life. See, he can possess a corpse and return to the time 4 minutes before the person died. In those 4 minutes, Sissel can use these, again, as they call ghost tricks, to try to alter the situation and ultimately change the future by saving that person's life. He can also communicate with the ghost of whoever he is saving, as long as they're conscious. If he fails to save them in those 4 minutes, then yeah, the person dies and you gotta try again. And so this game is a real puzzle game. You're really trying to figure out, how am I going to save this person's life? How am I going to manipulate the environment around me to make it so something changes significantly where the person gets saved? Sometimes it's really obvious. Sometimes it's really not, and it gets actually quite confusing. But a lot of the gameplay is looking around, studying your surroundings, how you can manipulate objects around you to try to change the fate of what's going to happen. And I think this gameplay loop, look, it's alright. I'm not going to come out here and say that it's excellent or that it's an engaging gameplay loop through and through and that the moment-to-moment gameplay really wowed me, because it didn't. It's alright. Look, the puzzles in this game, I don't think they're great. A lot of them are really just trial and error. Some of them are really creative. In fact, a majority of them are incredibly creative, and you'll really have to think to figure these out. But a lot of the time, it just comes down to trial and error and just trying everything as many times as you can, hoping you get it at the right timing to figure out the puzzle. And I just wasn't really a huge fan of these puzzles thanks to how much trial and error was. But again, they're really creative, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's a hot take that I don't think the puzzles are all that good in this game, and it is mostly a puzzle game when it comes to the gameplay. But what carries this game is its story, its characters, all of that. That is way better and much more engaging than this gameplay could ever be. In 5-10 years, when I think about this game, I am not going to think about the puzzles or the gameplay like at all with this game. I'm going to think about the story, the characters, and it's really going to sit with me. And I think that this game is not only incredibly unique and memorable, but one of the most creative games I've played in quite some time. I think that this game, based off just the premise alone, is worth playing. Look, if you like story-driven games, you play games for that narrative, that hook, line, and sinker with the characters in the world and all that, I really think you should try this game. But if you're looking for like an adventure game or a puzzle game or really taxing, thought-provoking puzzles and some engaging moment-to-moment gameplay, you're not going to find it here. What again you're going to find is a pretty story-heavy, visual novel, text-heavy game that tells a really great tale about Sissel and has some interesting puzzles here and there. There's a lot of great games releasing this year, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come, but you know, if you're looking for a fun throwback, maybe you missed it on the DS, or you're looking for just, again, a really different kind of game that isn't full price, it's available on everything, maybe give this game a shot. It might be the game for you. Maybe not, but either way, I think we can all agree that this premise is just incredibly unique and needs to be revisited again. Anyway, so that's it for this video. Thank you again to Capcom for the key. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. See ya.